The nature of your personal beliefs, in a large measure, directs the kinds of emotions you will have at any given time. You will feel aggressive, happy, despairing, or determined according to events that happen to you, your beliefs about yourself in relation to them, and your ideas of who and what you are. You will not understand your emotions unless you know your beliefs. It will seem to you that you feel aggressive or upset without reason, or that your feelings sweep down upon you without cause if you do not learn to listen to the beliefs within your own conscious mind, for they generate their own emotions. One of the strongest general causes of depression, for example, is the belief that your conscious mind is powerless either in the face of exterior circumstances thrust upon you from without, or before strong emotional events that seem to be overwhelming from within. Psychology, religion, science, in one way or another, all of these have added to the confusion by stripping the conscious mind of its directing qualities and viewing it as a stepchild of the self. The schools of positive thinking try to remedy the situation, but often do more harm than good because they attempt to force beliefs upon you that you would like to hold, but do not in your present state of confusion. Many such philosophies make you cower at the idea of entertaining negative thoughts or emotions. In all cases, the clues to your emotional experience and behavior lie in your systems of belief, some more evident to you than others, but all available to you consciously. If you believe that you are of little merit, inferior, and filled with guilt, then you may react in several ways according to your personal background and the framework in which you accepted those beliefs. You may be terrified of aggressive feelings because it seems others so much more powerful than you could retaliate. If you believe that all such thoughts are wrong, you will inhibit them and feel all the more guilty, which will generate aggressiveness against yourself and further deepen your sense of unworthiness.
934.
Now, if you read a book in your situation that instructs you to contemplate goodness, to turn your thoughts immediately to love and light when you feel irritated, you are in for trouble. Such practices will only serve to make you more frightened of your natural emotions. You will not understand why you have them any better than you did before. You may only hide them more cleverly, and perhaps become ill if, given the situation, you are not already. The harder you try to be good in such a case, the more inferior you will become in your mind. What do you think of yourself, your daily life, your body, your relationship with others? Ask yourself these questions. Write down the answers or speak them into a recorder, but in one way or another, objectify them. When you feel the rise of unpleasant emotions, take a moment and make an effort to identify their source. The answers are far more available than you may have previously believed. Accept such feelings as your own in the moment. Do not shove them underneath, ignore them, or try to substitute what you think of as good thoughts. First, be aware of the reality of your feelings. As you become more aware of your beliefs over a period of time, you will see how they bring forth certain feelings automatically. A man who is sure of himself is not angry at every slight done him, nor does he carry grudges. A man who fears for his own worth, however, is furious under such conditions. The free flow of your emotions will always lead you back to your conscious beliefs if you do not impede them. Your feelings always change the chemical balance of your body and alter its hormonal output, but the danger comes only when you refuse to face the contents of your conscious mind. Even the intent to know yourself, to face the reality of your experience, can be of great benefit, generating emotions that will provide an energy, an impetus to begin. No one can do this for you. You may believe that good mental health means being always cheerful, resolute, and kind, and never crying or showing disappointment. That belief alone can lead you to deny quite natural dimensions of human experience and to impede the flow of emotions that could otherwise cleanse both your body and your mind. If you are convinced that feelings are dangerous, then again that belief itself will generate a fear of all of them, and you may become almost panic-stricken if you display anything but the most reasonable, calm behavior. Your emotions may then strike you as highly unpredictable, extremely powerful, and to be kept down at all costs. Such an attempt to strangle natural feeling is bound to take its toll, but it is the belief itself that is to blame, and not the emotions. Any of the conditions mentioned puts you out of touch with your inner sense of balance. The natural grace of your being becomes disturbed. Now, take a break and we will continue.
954. Jane's trance had been excellent. Her delivery fast, considering my writing speed. Seth's material, especially that given around 9:34, was quite apropos in light of an amusing incident involving Jane shortly before the session. Idly, it seemed, she had picked a book from one of our shelves. It turned out to be a self-help treatise written by a prominent medical man. Leafing through it, Jane became so angered at the poor suggestions it contained that she threw it across the room. During break, I wondered aloud if she might have selected the book because she intuitively knew Seth was going to discuss its kind tonight. Or did Seth use the incident, once it transpired, to make his points in a fresh way? Jane didn't know, adding that she hadn't looked at the book in 4 or 5 years, nor had I. Yet I remembered how we had believed in it so implicitly at the time of purchase. Resume in the same fast manner at 10:05.
The conscious mind is meant to align all of your capabilities in accordance with its beliefs about the nature of reality. Those resources are considerable, for they include the deepest aspects of your creativity and powers far beneath consciousness of which you are only dimly aware. You cannot will yourself to be happy while believing that you have no right to happiness, or that you are unworthy of it. You cannot tell yourself to release aggressive thoughts if you think it is wrong to free them, so you must come to grips with your beliefs in all instances. If you have been told, again, that the spirit is good, in fact, perfect, and that you must then be perfect in all of your ways, while at the same time you believe in the imperfection of the body, you will always be in conflict with yourself. If it seems to you that the soul is degraded by its alliance with the flesh, then you will not be able to enjoy your own sense of grace, for you will not consider it possible. Your beliefs will dictate your very interpretation of various kinds of emotions. Many people, for example, are convinced that anger is always negative. It can be the most arousing and therapeutic emotion under certain circumstances. You can then realize that you have cowered before contradictory beliefs for years, rise up in anger against them, and, quite literally, begin a new life of freedom. Normal aggressiveness is basically a natural kind of communication, particularly in social orders, a way of letting another person know that in your terms they have transgressed, and therefore a method of preventing violence, not of causing it. In animals, natural aggression is used with the greatest biological integrity. It is, on the one hand, ritualized, and on the other hand, perfectly spontaneous. Its signals are understood. The various degrees, postures, and indications of natural animal aggressiveness are all steps in a series of communications in which the animal encounters are made clear. To a large extent, a highly involved series of symbolic actions are carried out long before any battle takes place, if it does finally. The display of the aggressive behavior, however, far more frequently prevents an actual combat situation. Man has highly charged contradictory attitudes about aggression, and his beliefs about it cause many of his mass and private problems.
Jane paused, still in trance. She had picked up a fresh cigarette, then discovered that she was out of matches. "Wait a minute," I said. "I'll get you a light." I was glad of the chance to rummage around. The pace had been fast.
He and I both thank you. To some degree, we will touch upon those dilemmas in this book. In your society, and to some extent in others, the natural communication of aggression has broken down. You confuse violence with aggression, and do not understand aggression's creative activity or its purpose as a method of communication to prevent violence. You deliberately make great effort, in fact, to restrain the communicative elements of aggression while ignoring its many positive values, until its natural power becomes dammed up, finally exploding into violence. Violence is a distortion of aggression.
Pause at 10:28.
Give us a moment. Birth is an aggressive action. The thrust outward with great impetus of a self from within a body into a new environment. Any creative idea is aggressive. Violence is not aggressive. It is instead a passive surrender to emotion, which is not understood or evaluated, only feared, and at the same time sought. Violence is basically an overwhelming surrender, and in all violence there's a great degree of suicidal emotion, the antithesis of creativity. Both killer and victim in a war, for instance, are caught up in the same kind of passion, but the passion is not aggressive. It is its opposite, the desire for destruction. Know that yearning is made up of feelings of despair caused by a sense of powerlessness, not of power. Aggressiveness leads to action, to creativity, and to life. It does not lead to destruction, violence, or annihilation. Let us take a very simple example involving a kind and good man in a fairly ordinary environment within your society. He has been taught that it is manly to be aggressive, but he believes that this means fighting. As an adult, he frowns upon fighting. He cannot hit his boss, though he may want to. At the same time, his church may tell him to turn the other cheek when he is upset and to be kind, gentle, and understanding. His society teaches him that such qualities are feminine. He spends his life trying to hide what he thinks of as aggressive, violent behavior, and trying to be understanding and kind instead. The stereotype is, of course, unrealistic, having to do with distorted concepts concerning the male and the female, but here we will merely consider the aspects of aggressiveness. Because he is trying to be so understanding, our man inhibits the expression of many of the normal irritations that would serve as a natural system of communication between, say, his superior and himself at work, or perhaps with members of his family at home. Simultaneously, all of these inhibited reactions seek release, for the manifestation of aggressive feelings sets up natural balances within the body itself, as well as serving as a communication system with others. When this system has had enough, our friend may then indeed react with violent behavior. He may suddenly find himself in a fight, initiating one, and the smallest incident may serve as a trigger. He could seriously hurt himself or someone else. As a rule, the animals have better sense. Your mind and your body, therefore, are quite equipped to handle aggression. Violence occurs only when the natural expression of aggression has been short-circuited. The sense of power felt during such episodes is the result of repressed energy suddenly released, but the individual is always at the mercy of that energy then, submerged within it and passively carried with it. The fear of your own emotions can do far more damage than their expression, because the apprehension builds up a charge that intensifies the energy behind them. Now, you may take your break.
10:52. Jane had been
way out. I think we're going to get more on animals and aggression. Boy, Seth's still here. I just got the next sentence.
She laughed, but my writing hand was lame, so I asked her to wait.
It's funny, but part of me is already into the session, while the rest is still here on break.
Resume in the same manner at 11:05.
Now, because you have conscious minds, you have great leeway in the manner in which you can express aggression, but the animal's heritage is still retained in its own way. A frown is a natural method of communication, saying, "You have upset me," or "I am upset." If you tell yourself to smile when you feel like scowling, then you are tampering with your natural expression and denying to another a legitimate communication that tells how you feel. When a man or a woman always smiles at you, the smile can be like a mask. You do not know whether or not you are communicating with such a person. The sound of the voice again follows its own patterns, and natural aggression should and will color it at times. There are many biological signs shown by the body, all meant as communications to others on a creative basis, as warnings to whatever degree. Each is automatic in its own way, and yet ritualistic, a dance of muscle in motion with its own meaning and biologically understood. These are all constructive. They are meant to elicit reactions from others and to arrive at new points of understanding, a balance of rights. When you're conscious